So I've seen a lot of movie analyses, I guess, online, I would call them, where people say that a lot of the dystopian movies, they kind of tap into the psyche of the human mind, and they manifest the fears that we have, like robots taking over. That's a very common trope, right? Or aliens coming down and, taking over because they're a more advanced civilization, or computers coming to life and AI coming to war with America, right? Or coming to war with humans. It's like these kind of repeating themes that are kind of like naturally scary to people. Now, unfortunately, we've come technologically to the point where, it's no longer kind of a fictional, hypothetical possibility. It's actually kind of beginning to look kind of like a reality. Let's start with Minority Report. Cindy.
Well, remember last week I was talking about, the UK and clampdown on free speech and all these things going on. Well, now they have another thing to worry about: pre-crime.
Pre-crime.
Yeah. So if everyone, I assume most people have seen Minority Report, but to recap, Minority Report is where they have the psychics, what do they call them? Precogs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, precogs. Yeah.
Precogs who can see the future, and they can see if a murder is going to happen, and you go arrest the person before they commit the murder. And then the Tom Cruise character thinks he's framed because, he's the head of the whole thing, but then they see that he's going to do murder, so he goes to try to prove, that he's been framed, and the whole thing comes crumbling down. However, pre-crime is something that police forces, security agencies have been trying to work on. And with AI and an ability to analyze and manipulate and absorb mass amounts of data, it's being worked on. And so in the UK, there's a group that, FOIA'd and got the UK version of Freedom of Information and got some information on a project called, originally it was called Homicide Prediction Project. But somewhere along the way, they decided that wouldn't sell, perhaps, and they changed it to Sharing Data to Improve Risk Assessment.
So is this just like them stopping criminal conspiracies, or is it even before it gets to that point?
No, it's not. They're basically specifically trying to figure out who might commit murder.
So
right?
this is about murder, not about like mean things on the internet or something.
Correct. Okay. Specifically about murder. So they've sucked in all this information. Apparently, ID information on 500,000 people, and it's things like criminal record, but also mental health, self-harm, all kinds of things.
Country of origin.
Who in London do you believe is going to be more likely to commit murder?
See, Roman, that'll get you thrown in prison there too, man.
I bet I can build a system just with a few metrics that'll do better than that system.
So obviously, they say this was just in the R&D process, and it's not going to be used in courts. We're just using it for policy, but also possibly like sentencing, parole hearings,
or
things like that. Perhaps surveillance. These are obviously the concerns.
This sounds like the whole like Patriot laws in the U.S. Giving surveillance and stuff, Patriot Act type stuff.
So I don't understand. So their equivalent to the FBI will have like a database, and it's like Cindy, and we have that like what will be in your file?
They would put in your socio-demographic, kind of data. Basically, you're trying to build profiles based on sucking in all this information, and then they would put in that information for me and be like, you know what? She's a X risk, level of committing specifically murder, apparently. But of course, once they have the system spun up and is doing what it's doing, they could apply it in any way.
Do you truly know at this point what is totally predictive of murder? Like what traits in human beings are they just gonna?
Don't we know?
Yeah. I'm saying I don't think we do.
No, well, that's the point. This is the point of this, to try to crunch enough data that the prediction will never be perfect.
So who is the one asking that question to these people? Who's giving the resistance to this?
Who's giving the resistance? Yeah. Privacy groups that are concerned that it's going to profile or target specific demographics more than others.
Is there a particular party? Is it like conservatives versus labor, or?
No, it seems to be more like, watchdog groups.
I see.
Watchdogs. That's a good name for this group that's going to be watching the UK citizens, the watchdogs. Okay, so that's Minority Report. That's what the UK can look forward to. Hey, if it works well in the UK, it'll probably come to the US. pre-crime, trying to find people before they commit the crime. Okay. Jurassic Park, another dystopian movie that's coming to life. Tiffany?
Well, not quite dinosaurs, but apparently the dire wolves are back. So they're famous from the Game of Thrones series, but they were actual animal. They've been extinct for basically like 12,000 years. So if you saw amid all the tariff memes online, there was also Time magazine that came out with a picture of what looks like a white wolf and the word extinct crossed out.
And you can hear them howl.
Yeah. So what they did is basically this is a group called Colossal Biosciences, and they have a whole de-extinction project. Like that's their whole thing. And so it's not exactly that they brought them back to life, but what they did is they do gene editing or gene modding. And so they have 3 new puppies, and each of them have traits of the dire wolf. So what they did is they took the DNA from a 13,000-year-old tooth of a dire wolf and a 72,000-year-old skull of a dire wolf. So they took like little genes, like DNA genes from it, because you could still get it, I guess. And then they put them into these pups to create them. So they're like dire wolf puppies, but they're still puppies right now. So we'll see if they actually become as big as.
So they're like dire wolf Malamutes. They're like mutts, basically.
They're simulacra of a.
But so then they named them, but the names are kind of funny. So they named them Romulus, Remus, and then Khaleesi. So if you know the Roman Empire, I'm sure you would, Roman. The Roman Empire, the myth goes, they were founded by 2 twins named Romulus and Remus, and they were raised by a she-wolf. So you have those connections. And then you also had, Game of Thrones. So you have George R.R. Martin. He has a picture of him holding one of the puppies. And one of them is also called Khaleesi.
That's so cute. It can almost make me forget about the horrors beyond our imagination. That's coming down the pipe with this.
Woolly mice.
Yeah, so they've been
the woolly mice.
Right. So there's the woolly mammoth. So they didn't quite bring that one back yet, but they put some of those genes into a little mouse. So they created a woolly mouse.
But they're trying to make their way to the woolly mammoth.
They're like little mice with jerry curls. It's fantastic.
It's very long fur.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that they like take DNA that they extract from some fossil, they take DNA from like a similar type of animal, and then they like just take that DNA of the animal and like kind of change the parts that are different, and then they implant it into the egg and then like grow and you.
Their whole thing is de-extinction, so that is
it's 100% copy. So like
they're trying to get to.
So the dire wolf is like an actual dire wolf with the same DNA as the fossil.
It just has traits.
Oh no, so it's not 100%.
No, you could never bring it.
They're trying to make it look like it more than actually be
You're
it.
just taking certain features, phenotype.
Exactly.
Right? And you're trying to do that.
So when did they make the raptor? That's the real question.
Yeah, I see.
When did they make something cool here?
But then you did have the Jurassic Park page being like, oh, this can't end badly at all. So
I think they obviously did dire wolves because it would get everyone to talk about it, right?
Because you can show the puppies.
This is how they can fund their research. Do a few things that the public likes, and then they'll get money.
That's true. If they started with like a T-Rex, it might get the opposite.
People might get alarmed.
Yeah.
Shut it down.
So I guess right now it's Jurassic Bark.
Oh.
All right, so but good. Okay, so next dystopia that we're marching towards, The Matrix. Obviously, you might think, obviously with the rise of AI, they're going to enslave us, right? But how is AI going to enslave us? They don't have physical human bodies. They don't, they can't physically touch you or strangle you or carry you.
Yet.
Well, enter everyone's favorite company, Boston Dynamics, the company that rolls out a new video every few months, every maybe half year. And collectively, people look at it and go, cool, but dear God, stop what you're doing. They released their new video not so long ago. Here it is. Let's take a look. All right, so you saw those robots, but you might think they're not cute. Nobody would go for those robots being developed. However, take a look at this video.
The Nightlights have been practicing their bouncing skills. Ooh, I know. We have all of these new Vikings here. Would you like to demonstrate your bouncing? Here we go. Here we go. Yeah! All right, wave goodbye to everyone. Bye! Siblings, here we go. Look at us. Hi, everybody.
I love him.
Josh, what was your comment about that cute little dragon?
Well, the thing is when the robot apocalypse does come, it's not going to be like Terminators, like T-1000s.
It's going to be
It's going to be like a cute anime girl.
You're going to be murdered by a Furby.
Does like 3 backflips and stabs you or something. You know what I mean? I don't think people realize the horrors of the actual robot apocalypse.
All right.
We're doomed.
With that final thought, thank you so much for joining the program. All right, I know exactly what you're thinking. That was a great clip you just watched. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to follow and also check out either these videos or maybe they're on this side. I don't know which side they're on, but we set it up so these are the videos that YouTube is suggesting to you as the best ones that you'll probably like the most. So check them out, this side,